Welcome everyone to Sudbury Talks with Gwen Price, and I'm very happy to have as my guest today, Sarah Landry. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's been a while since I've seen you, and you've had a lot going on in your life. But one of the things we're going to talk about today is cystic fibrosis. And the month of May is actually Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month. And I know your family has been impacted by that. And I want people to have a better understanding about the disease, how it's impacting your family. So tell us a little bit about what happened. What happened? It's Ella, your little girl, the youngest, right?
Yeah, so Ella is 10 months old, and we received the news that she had cystic fibrosis when she was 9 days old. Essentially, we got a call when she was 8 days old saying that her genetic testing from when she was a newborn came back positive for CF. And they wanted us to go in and have a sweat chloride test done the next day. So obviously that was tough. All night I'm stressing out, hoping that it was maybe a false positive. But the next day we went to do the sweat chloride. It measures the amount of chloride in the sweat to give us a diagnosis. Unfortunately, it was too tiny at the time. Like, babies don't produce enough sweat.
Well, is that something they're doing for all newborns, or was there something that she had? She was symptomatic, or what? What is? Are they doing for everybody?
Yeah, like she actually didn't have symptoms at all, but what's happening now is with all newborns, they do a genetic screening for all types of genetic diseases. And so cystic fibrosis is on that list. And I guess the purpose of that is just to get early detection so that they can start with treatments right away and hopefully have a better outcome for these diseases. So yeah, essentially that's how she was diagnosed. Like, even though we weren't able to do the sweat chloride at the beginning, her pediatrician was comfortable giving us that diagnosis based off of the newborn genetic screen. And so we started her on medication right away. Later we were able to do the sweat chloride, and it was positive. Like, you have to have over 60 to have a positive test, and she was 99. So it was like no doubt.
Yeah. Well, and it's a genetic disease, right? And is there a history of that in your family? Did anybody have even a clue that this might be on the horizon?
No, we had no idea. Nobody in our family has cystic fibrosis. So I'm a carrier of the most common gene, which is Delta F508. And my husband is a carrier for the IF507 gene. So together you have to have, both parents have to have a gene, and then your child has 25% chance of having CF, 50% chance of being a carrier, or 25% chance of being totally unaffected.
Because you also have another daughter, older, Jade. So, and there was nothing there detected in her at all. That's interesting.
No, so she will have the option when she's older to, if she would like to get tested to see if she's a carrier. But we unfortunately can't make that decision for her, as much as I'd like to know. Our counselor said she'd have to make that decision for herself.
And and of course, I've heard of cystic fibrosis, and I was saying to you earlier, all I have is a picture of somebody patting their child on the back and trying to move that, because it's mucus. Is that what it is? It's like it's thickening of it, or it just what exactly are the symptoms of cystic fibrosis?
Yeah, so essentially what ends up happening is the transportation of chloride and sodium throughout the cells is either faulty or not functioning at all, depending on the genetic mutation that you have. So symptoms can be different for everybody, but you would mainly see like coughing, shortness of breath, wheezing, bowel issues, malabsorption of vitamins, malnutrition leading to poor growth, salty tasting sweat, infertility in men. The list goes on. There's like frequent lung infections, which lead to decline in lung function. So, yeah.
So on a day-to-day basis, how does she go through the world, and how does your family handle that? Like, is she, start off the morning and she's got a bunch of drugs to take, or what's involved with her day-to-day living?
So for now, like, because she's still so little, I find like her medication and stuff is still fairly minimal. Like, it will get like more intensive as she grows older, but so yeah, she starts her morning, she takes a different multivitamin, D drops, because she can't absorb it as well as the rest of us. She has to take enzymes because she's pancreatic insufficient, so essentially pancreas doesn't produce the enzymes to be able to break down nutrition and grow properly. So those enzymes allow her to do that. So before every bottle, every meal, every snack, she takes an enzyme. And then she also has to take a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, just spread out throughout the day, because they lose it in their sweat.
I had no idea. I thought it was just something about mucus, and that, you had to try to get it out of them. And I had no idea about all the other deficiencies.
Yeah, we definitely still do the pats. Like, she does 30 minutes a day of chest physiotherapy, where we use a percussion cup and try to get all sections of the lungs. So that's definitely still a thing, but so much more to it too.
Yeah. Well, and she's, I haven't actually got to meet her, because of all this COVID thing, but she seems like such a happy child. And I know you have made the comment that, she looks perfectly healthy for the rest of us to look at her. And people don't understand that behind all that, all of this is going on in her day-to-day life, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely an invisible illness. So whatever people can't see, they have a hard time understanding, right? Yeah. They just see a very happy baby and they don't understand what's going on inside, right? So eventually she's going to have more treatments and needing to use puffers and nebulizers, there's a lot of complications. So
like, has she been hospitalized in her short 10 months, or is that you've been able to keep things under control by the medications and the therapies?
Yeah, like, we've actually been lucky, and like, I always hesitate to say that she's doing well, because you just don't know what could happen tomorrow, right? But she's always been at like the 50th percentile for weight, which her pediatrician's super happy with, because they say a good growth at the beginning will hopefully contribute to better lung function in the future. So the other thing, like, I'm grateful too, is newborns with CF can have something called meconium ileus, where it gets stuck in your intestines, the first stool. And they may need surgery to have it removed, things like that. So that's why often newborns would be hospitalized with CF. But Ella was lucky to have passed her meconium and no issues there.
Yeah. And how's her big sister Jade with her? Is she very, like, it must be, you sometimes worry that there's so much focus on one child that the other child sort of gets, put in the background, not for anything that you're trying to do, but, just is she like helping with Ella or?
Yeah, she's actually been such a great big sister. At the beginning,
Yeah.
I wouldn't come near her, like she didn't want to
Yeah.
touch her, that, but
Yeah. That's,
as yeah, it's so normal, right? But
yeah.
as Ella is like more interactive and stuff, she's just loves her. Like even when I'm doing Ella's physio, she grabs the percussion cup, she starts doing it on her teddies.
Okay. Like
So
what's the age difference between them?
18 months.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty close in age to, they can interact, especially as they grow older, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's wonderful.
I don't know what I'm talking about. It's not 18 months. They're 2.5 years.
Oh. Okay. I drop a year.
Long brain.
Well, and I know you've had some health challenges yourself through all of this, which compounds, what's going on, and it was hard for your family for your diagnosis, and we'll just touch on it that it was a cancer diagnosis, and it's so wonderful to see everybody coming together as much as they can to support.
Yeah. We've had so much support from family and friends, and it would have been so tough to go through this alone, but knowing that you have like a community behind you, and
Mhm.
like the CF community is so strong as well.
Yeah.
You can get support from anybody just from social media, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's great to know that we're not alone.
So yeah, so her prognosis with the therapies, and I remember you shared something recently about, is it a new drug therapy that's coming up, or they're talking about, or you're trying to get support from the government for that? Maybe touch a bit on that too.
Yeah, so there's kind of a life-changing drug out there. It's not a cure, but
Mm.
it's the best thing out there right now. It's called Trikafta. And right now it's not accessible for children between the ages of 6 and 11.
Mm.
Um, Health Canada just approved it, meaning you could pay out of pocket for it, but it's extremely expensive. So right now, as a community, we're really advocating for private and public insurers to cover it for these young children.
Yeah.
And there's so many ways of helping out. I can send you a link after.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, for sure.
You can donate, you can participate in the walk for CF, which is coming up at the end of May. And then there's one that's really simple. It's CF Canada has like a whole letter formulated that you can send to your local MP. All you have to do is fill out your name, your email address. It literally takes like less than 30 seconds and they send it off for you. It's just to try to push our MPs a little bit to advocate for these younger kids. And yeah, there's just a lot of like red tape to accessing AFTA, unfortunately, even though it could help so many people.
Well, and the younger, I imagine, like anything, the younger things get addressed, the better the outcome, right? Because it damages their lungs, right? And does it like form scar tissue if they're, I'm trying to understand the whole thing. Yeah.
I mean, essentially what happens is like there's so much mucus buildup. So as soon as there's bacterias or viruses that they just love to go into that sticky mucus. So it decreases the lung function over time, and it's hard to get it back, right? Once you've had bad infection after infection.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely earlier treatment is better to prevent the buildup of the mucus and prevent these infections to begin with.
And is there gene therapy happening? Is there lots of research being done into this, or what's happening on that part of the whole equation?
Well, Trikafta is essentially a gene modifier.
Okay.
There's essentially like what it's trying to do is get the cell to transport the sodium and chloride produce that. Essentially, like there's no water coming out of the cell, and that's what's causing the sticky mucus. So yeah, that's a gene modifier, and it's only accessible for somebody with the delta F508 gene. You have to have at least one copy of the gene.
Okay.
So they still have a lot to do in terms of there's 2,000 plus types of genetic mutations. Really? So the rarer ones don't really have access to gene modifiers. So, it's a lot of work for researchers and stuff, but they've come a long way.
Yeah. Like what's the percentage of the population that would have CF? Is it, is there a lot of people even in Sudbury? Is there a lot in Canada, or do you have any idea of those?
I don't actually have the numbers with me right now.
That's okay.
Throughout the month of May, I'm going to be sharing like on social media and stuff, all of these like numbers and things like that. But it is the most common fatal genetic disorder in Canada. Yeah, so it's quite prevalent in the community, but in terms of like Sudbury and stuff, I don't actually know the numbers. I did ask her pediatrician once, and he didn't know because all of Northern Ontario.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wasn't sure, but
but certainly, I mean, it's a disease that I've heard of, and there's lots of rare diseases out there that people have never even heard of, but CF. So, I mean, of course, and everybody wants to help your daughter and your family, and whatever we can do, we'll definitely share the information, and so people can write those letters and get some changes to the drugs, because I mean, it's such a huge amount of money that is spent on some diseases and not others. And if something can help, the sooner the better, right? And no, I'd be happy to share that. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. It's great to see you again. It's been a while, and I'm so happy that Ella is thriving, and that there is some help out there for her, and we want her to live a long, healthy life for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon. And soon, if you send me those links, I'll be happy to share them.
Okay, sounds great.
Take care.
You too.